Now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Welcome to today's Helpline Clinic with your host, James McDonald.
Well, thank you very much, Andrea, and we should mention Mr. Craig Proctor as well. I mean, he's somewhat of an important element of this, but he has gone to get a coffee. But welcome, everybody. This is our Monday morning Helpline session, our open forum sort of free-for-all where we can talk about anything you like. Any topic is fair game. Before we get started, first of all, I want to say how great it was on Friday to do the boot camp. Lester and I did our boot camp in San Francisco with some of our great students, primarily from the West Coast, although there were some that traveled some distance. But it was a really great group, and we had a really great day, and I really think that we made some great progress. Just hammering the basics, but also getting into some detail, especially Lester. He's just phenomenal. It's amazing what a wealth of information he is. For those of you that are being coached by Lester, you're very, very lucky to have somebody with that kind of knowledge about everything. I mean, it's really remarkable. But anyway, it was really, really fantastic. So make sure you check the schedule and look in your area and find out when there's a boot camp coming up next. I think we'll do one in the spring on the West Coast again. And Craig did a platinum event in Toronto this past weekend as well. That was quite something. But anyway, I want to remind everybody that today is our open forum Q&A session. So you can bring up any topic of discussion that you might like to. We can do some role playing together. You can talk about some marketing, any ads that you might be running or questions about that. Any of your systems that you're looking to set up in your business, the USPs, the list goes on and on and on. You determine our topic for today, essentially. Now, let me also add this. Friday, we're going to do our ad clinic session. And for those ad clinic sessions to really be successful, we need to have lots of good ads to look at. Not just the ads that you've run that generated nothing, but preferably the ads that you run that generate a great response. Now, I know how this goes. When you run an ad and it works, then you don't need any help, so there's nothing to talk about. And that, unfortunately or fortunately, that is the case with most of you. But when you run an ad and it falls flat, or you run a campaign and you struggle with lead generation, those are the ads that you send in to be looked at, and makes sense that you would do that. However, we can learn a lot by looking at both successful and unsuccessful ads. So try to make an effort. If you're going to send in ads that aren't effective, that need help, that's great. But try to also send in your ads that are generating some leads as well. We can also look to improve those, but we can all learn from one another, and it's extremely instructional to do that, so I'll really encourage you. Okay, now, first of all, Mr. Craig Proctor, are you back from fetching your coffee, the all-important coffee? He is not the strong silent type, so I'm going to suggest he's not back yet, Andrea. That's okay, though. That's okay. Why don't we do this? Let's talk about how we can pose our questions here on today's webinar.
Okay. To ask a question, all you have to do is type your question in the bottom of the webinar control panel, the little chat Q&A box, or if you have a mic or you're on the telephone, you can ask your question aloud to the group. Just let us know you'd like to do that by clicking the hand icon at the top of your webinar control panel.
And I'm here as well.
There he is. Good morning, Mr. Proctor.
Good morning, Mr. McDonald. How are you on this bright Monday morning?
Well, it's not very bright, but that's okay. I was just talking about the boot camp that we had on Friday in San Francisco. It was great. We had a really great group, and everybody really got a lot out of it. And so we're very pleased that we did that. And I understand that at the same time in Toronto, you were doing exactly the same thing.
That is correct. Mr. Todd Walters and I, we were doing a platinum boot camp, and was very successful. We had over 200, probably 250 members there, so it was very good. Covered a lot of great stuff. Got some very good feedback.
Now, Craig, just on an aside, one of the discoveries that we kind of made on Friday at the boot camp was this. For those of you that are working with Success Website, they will have your lead generation working very, very successfully, but this is the common thread that we found. among all of our students that are really doing a good job generating leads from, the pay-per-click campaigns and Facebook campaigns using Success Website, what we found in every one of their cases is that they really have to get on the phone and really work with Success Website on a regular basis. In other words, the common thread among those that aren't having success with Success Website is, they may email them or call them once, say, hey, set this up, and then they don't really hear much more from it. It's kind of like, Craig, your expression you like so much, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. There is no question in this instance, we found overwhelmingly some of our students generating dozens and dozens and dozens of leads from their Success Website campaigns. But in every case, they just had to really work with them to tweak the ads to arrive at the successful formula. And once you put in the work and arrive at that formula, then you can hit the repeat button and do it over and over and over again. So that was a really valuable sort of insight that we got there from those students that were really successful with it.
Well, I don't understand why you would abdicate the responsibility of lead generation to somebody else. I don't care what company it is. I believe you need to be involved in it. So if you just think, well, I've hired Success Website or I pay them money every month, so I should never have to be involved in this, you'll be sadly disappointed. It's an interactive approach.
Yeah, Craig, I think that this is where the confusion comes in, is that the technical part of the marketing, the technical part, how do I run a pay-per-click ad, how do I set up a budget, that I understand. That if you are not a technical person, that is something that somebody else can do for you. Don't confuse that with the marketing messages that are being attached to that. In other words, if you wash your hands of what messages are being included in your marketing, then as Craig says, you're going to be very, very disappointed. You need to be heavily involved in what your marketing offers, what it says, where it sends them. What you don't need to be involved in is how it does that. You don't need to understand how the internet works, for example, or how a newspaper prints an ad. That's not relevant. What is relevant, though, is the message itself. And I know that a lot of you that are not generating leads, you have, as Craig said, you've sort of delegated that away to, primarily Success Website, but there are other examples as well. And, they're very good at handling the technical elements of this. But as far as the messages that are going to attract prospects in your individual marketplace, you're the best person to know what you need to be offering.
Okay, so let's try to cite a few examples here so everybody understands this once and for all. The people at Success Website or Commissions Inc. or Bold Leads or whatever lead generation company you're working with, they're not real estate agents. Okay? They're, I don't know what they are, computer guys.
Right.
They've never sold a house. They also don't understand your marketplace. So, for example, I was talking to Todd Walters about this. He says, when you hire a company like Success Website and you abdicate responsibility, total responsibility to them for your lead generation, let's say they're designing a Google pay-per-click campaign. And Todd was giving an example of Metro Atlanta, where he lives. So Success Website, they could run an ad that says, Atlanta two-story homes. Okay, or Marietta, which is an area, in Metro Atlanta. Marietta homes for sale. The problem is that's not what buyers enter into Google. Okay, they're entering more detailed, long-tailed descriptions of exactly what they're looking for. So Todd said what would be more likely is a prospect would type into Google Marietta four-bedroom two-story homes. Okay, or Marietta golf course homes. In Newmarket, for example, what they might type in is new market luxury homes, or in your area, James, what might they type in that might be a long tail description?
Gated community properties, right? Yeah, they might write gated community townhomes. 3 and 4 bedroom gated community townhomes.
Right, but the buyer's not going to likely type in Carlsbad homes for sale because the list would be daunting.
Right.
So anyway, that's why you want to work with these vendors, and it's an interactive process. It really is. Like all those years that I was designing this and working with Success Website, maybe I haven't been clear on this. It was never a situation where I said, hey, Steve, I want to make millions of dollars in real estate in commissions, so could you just go take care of that for me? No. I had to design the direct response ads. I tweaked them. I paid attention to the results. Okay, and then I thought, well, let's change this. Let's change the headline. Let's change this and that. And then I would continually look at the results, and we would keep tweaking the ads and the landing pages until we got maximum response. Now, some of you have got lucky. Some of you haven't had to do that because right out of the gate, the first couple of ads you ran and your landing pages just happen to work really well. Now, that doesn't mean they can't work better. So if the first couple of ads you ran that you drove your prospects to the landing pages and it worked and you generated leads, you think very positively about this because it worked right away. For those of you that weren't that fortunate, that the ads weren't perfect, the landing pages weren't perfect, or if you've got Success Website, managing your Google pay-per-click. You see, managing is the key. Managing, but it's interactive. But if you didn't have success right away, this is what you would hear at the boot camp. Yeah, James, this system's not working. I'm not generating any leads, which it's got to seem kind of weird to the people that aren't having success when they're surrounded by people that are. So it's not that it doesn't work. James and I this morning are just talking about how to get it to work. All right, James, let's get to some questions.
Good idea. Okay, Andrea, what have we got in our chat, or anybody that would like to pose their question on the webinar?
Okay, we have lots of chats and a few hands raised. We'll go with a couple of chats first. From Daniel Pilson, says, hi, Craig James. What kind of a guarantee program can we do for sellers if we do not have any listings as a new agent?
Well, technically it wouldn't prevent you from offering the guaranteed sale program. And I know what you're thinking, well, how could they move up and buy one of my listings if I don't have any listings? Well, the truth is they couldn't, but you would still get calls. So when I started offering this, I didn't have a lot of listings. So James, if you were the prospect, I get to your home, you would say, well, how's the guaranteed sale program work? I'd say, James, you have to move up and buy one of my listings. Which one of my listings are you interested? You might say, well, I don't know, Craig, what do you have right now in such and such a price range in this part of town? I'd say, James, unfortunately, I have nothing that matches your criteria right now. But why don't we get your home on the market, just list it the traditional way. And if you see one of my listings that you like at some point in the future, we can talk about the guarantee. So did the ad do its job? Yes. It compelled James to call me. I'm sitting at his kitchen table and I list his home. So, some would say the best time to offer it, or the lowest risk time to offer it, is when you don't have any listings. But here's the truth. Once you start offering the guaranteed sale program, you're going to have lots of listings. That's what happened to me. That's what happens to everyone that offers the guaranteed sale program. Why are you offering the program? To compel a whole bunch of prospects that want to sell their home to contact you. So the problem you're articulating, no listings, is the problem that is actually solved by offering the program.
And Craig, regardless of whether we're talking about the guarantee itself, guarantee or I'll buy it, or you're talking about guaranteeing the home sold in a certain number of days, or you'll, pay them X number or save them X number of dollars from your commission, whether you're talking about a guarantee that guarantees a certain amount of money on their property, none of those have anything to do with you having any other listings. Like, for example, if you said to a seller in a hot market, I'll sell your home for at least 100% of asking price, and any deficiencies from asking price, I'll pay the difference from my commission. 100% of asking price, or I pay the difference. That doesn't have anything to do with you having any other listings. So don't confuse the guaranteed sale program with a performance guarantee. There are many of them that you can use. The guaranteed sale program is one of the performance guarantees for sellers, but there are others for sellers as well, and they don't require you to have any listings. They're based on performance. That's why they're called performance guarantees. You perform, and there's a consequence attached to you not living up to that performance. And the performance, of course, is extremely benefit based on the marketplace. So if homes are selling quickly, then you focus on money. 100% of asking price. If homes are taking a long time to sell, then you develop a guarantee that focuses on time. So if the marketplace is average 120 days and you have a guarantee that says, I'll sell your home in less than 90 days, that's a very, very impactful guarantee to make. But it has nothing to do with your present inventory.
All right, let's go to our next question here. This question's from Janet Allen. I was at the Platinum Boot Camp in Toronto this weekend, and I enjoyed it immensely. Well, thank you. Todd and I both enjoyed being there. I was reading through some of the materials, and do we need both a less branded and a branded website? I read that we could potentially use a less branded site and just have a few branded pages within the less branded site. For example, I could have the less branded website with a branded page for the guaranteed sale program. What are your thoughts on that? Yeah, you certainly could do that. Of course, eventually you probably want to drive your prospects to your branded homepage. But if you're offering the guaranteed sale program and you drive your prospects to a branded landing page within the less branded site, that would absolutely work for you. Next question is from Harry Kimbrough. And James, you remember Harry, long-time member? Okay, well, Harry's back with us, so we welcome Harry. And he's asking, where do I send my ads for review? Well, Harry, you've got a couple of options. You can send your ads to your coach, Lester, or you can upload the ads, and Andrew is showing you right now on the screen, where you can upload your ads to the ad clinic, and then every Friday, James and I, we pick some of the ads and we critique them, and we show you how to make the ads even better.
And I wouldn't say or, I would say and. Don't either send it to Lester or upload them. Do both.
Yep, you could do that. Okay, let's take a look at our next question here. This is from Alexandra. Can someone tell them they're not real estate agents? They do not. Okay. So Alexandra is talking about Success website. So Alexandra's point is, could someone please tell these people at Success website that they're actually not real estate agents? They do like to tell you what real estate agents should do and how to run their business. Yes, they do, Alexandra. We know that this is not just a problem with Success website. It's a problem with all the vendors that get into the real estate industry. Okay, eventually, and James and I don't know how it happens or why it happens, but eventually they all think they're marketing experts when really all we want is their technology. Look, I think we can all agree. Nobody cares more about your business or knows more about your business than you do. So I think they just need to be reminded of that, and we've got to sometimes be a little bit forceful that, hey, you know what, it's my business. No, nobody cares more about my business than I do, and nobody knows more about my business and my marketplace than I do. So, yeah, that's a good point, and we definitely get it. Okay, this next question is from Phil. Phil says, Craig, can you talk about how we should tag or label prospects in our contact management system after we've made the first contact to establish motivation and timing? There's a variety of types of prospects and follow-ups required. For example, some will receive a follow-up call, some will receive a monthly newsletter, a phone call. I need some help with an effective follow-up tool. Okay, Phil, that's an excellent question. I used Agent Office, and one of the things I really liked about it, and many contact management systems allow you to do this, is to color code the leads. So on my contact management system, I could color code the leads red, blue, or black. So when Cindy, my administrator, when she was pulling the leads off of the website and the hotline or wherever else they would come from, bottom line, if it was a brand new lead, Cindy would color code the leads red. After I spoke to that lead, let's say it's a follow-up call, they would be blue. I would also color code the leads black. I'd change the color to black if I had a day phone number for them. If I had their cell number or work number, I would color code those leads as black. And that way, when I turned on my computer every day, when I go to my contact management system, during the day, where arguably we have more time, right? Because mostly in the evenings we're working, on appointments with buyers and sellers. So during the day, I wanted to know immediately who I could call during the day. So this little system allowed me to do that. Dominic is asking, should we tell Sync that as well? Look, I don't want to paint like everybody with the same brush. But if you feel that you're getting pushed around by the vendors and that they're actually making decisions that aren't in your best interest, if you get this feeling in your gut that this person you're talking to really is talking above their pay grade, like, they don't know as much as you about your market, I wouldn't be afraid to pipe up and push back on that. Okay, look, this is your money and it's your business. These people at these vendor companies, they get paid regardless. Whether your marketing works or doesn't work, they get paid. They're like arms dealers. Okay, if there's a war, the arms dealer doesn't care who wins the war and who loses the war. They still get paid. So just understand, nobody cares more about your business than you do, except for maybe James and I. Thought I'd add that, James.
Well done.
Okay, let's take a few more. Do we have any audio at this point? Any audio questions, Andrea?
We do. We have several hands raised. Would you like to go ahead and take some of those now?
Yeah, let's do it. We'll mix them up. We'll take some audio, and then we'll take some chat.
Okay, we have Kathy Buck. Your line is open on my end. Go ahead and click the red mute button to unmute your end. Give you a few seconds to do that, Kathy. Okay, we'll go ahead and we'll come back to Kathy at another time. We have Dharmendra. Your line is open.
Oh, hi, Craig. Hi, James.
Hey, how you doing?
Now, did Andrea pronounce that right?
Close to, yes. So my name is pronounced as Dharmendra.
Dharmendra. Okay.
Yeah, but she was close, not far.
She's pretty close.
Yeah. So my question is, I do advertise on Kijiji different ways, distress sales, and sometimes I do advertise one of the particular property that is listed as well. Now I do get leads from there. Now what is happening lately is that when people email back or email for further details, the Kijiji mask email address, and there is no phone number there, so I couldn't find their email address because on Kijiji when I received email, it is masked and with B13 something numbers like that.
Right.
So should I reply that email, or should I, or how, or if so, then what kind of information should I ask for? I did.
Okay, let me ask you this:
Yes.
Have you considered using the hotline number?
I did. I do put the hotline numbers all the time,
Okay,
But
only the
rather than,
hotline number. Only the hotline number is a mechanism to response. That way, you're always capturing their cell phone number.
right, I do that same thing, but even the Kijiji, like they have their own platform, so somebody can email right from there, so it comes to me. So many times people, they just email from that Kijiji platform rather than calling on the hotline. I always put hotline number on every ad on Kijiji, yes.
Right. So what you're saying is, Craig, if I can't talk to them, I can't qualify them, and I can't compel them to meet with me.
Right. So what I did a couple of times is I email with say, yes, I have the details, please give me a call, and then I write my phone number, but then I don't get any answer back. So is there any specific words or message that I should use?
If you're going to send them an email, you got to send them an email that takes them to a link that goes to the landing page that you intended to direct them to. Okay? Do you understand what I mean? So if you're running an ad that offered distress sales, then you want to send them an email with a link saying, please click on the link to request your property information. And when they click on it, it takes them to your distress sale landing page. We don't want them to respond by email. And if there was any way of hiding that, we would do it. So the only real mechanism of response is either, as Craig is saying, a hotline number, or two, on Kijiji you can pay to have a live link in there, so they can click on the link. So if they didn't do one of those two things, then your email should direct them to do that. And essentially your email is saying this: look, you're not getting any of the information unless you tell us what you're looking for and request it. Here's how you do that. Either click on the link or call the 1-800 number. So
should I be clear that time when I answer them that I can only provide information when you call this number, or
just make it, well, you don't have to make it sound, confrontational like that, but it's very simple. Please complete, the following information by clicking on the link, and your properties will be immediately provided.
Oh, okay.
Right, but yeah, no email is going to cause them to call you. They're not going to pick up the phone and call you. Remember, the reason that they clicked on the email in the first place is to remain completely anonymous.
Exactly.
And people that aren't serious and ready, yeah, they want to remain anonymous. But as you become more motivated, more serious, more ready, you're going to give up your anonymity. So remember, to an extent, the system is doing its job. You're not suggesting that nobody requests the information properly. You're suggesting that sometimes prospects will click on the email instead of going to the landing page.
Right.
Okay, so that's what I would suggest doing.
Okay, well, very good. Thank you very much. Okay, I hope that helps out. I'm going to go to a chat question here, Andrea. Well, I got a couple I'm going to go to here. The first one is from Dottie Rice, and Dottie is asking, are all coaching participants permitted to attend the conference in Anaheim in April, even though it's called a Platinum Conference? Yes, Dottie, all coaching members are invited to the Platinum meeting in April in Anaheim. And I believe the dates are 14th, 15th, and 16th, but I know Andrea will clarify that and maybe even put it on the screen here. But just to be clear, repeat it again, all coaching members are invited to the Platinum Boot Camp. There it is, April 14th through the 16th. You're not going to be sitting through the same conference that you've already attended. So it's a day earlier. You'll notice it's a day earlier, April 14th, 15th, and 16th. The main super conference starts the next day. It begins on April 15th. The reason it's staggered by a day is so I can be with you on that first day, and then Todd Walters and the other coaches are going to be teaching the other 2 days. So all coaching members should make plans to be there. Okay, also we have a Fort Lauderdale event if you're on the East Coast, and you can see the dates of that meeting are the 12th and 13th. Okay, so we want you folks at the meetings. Why? Because there's a very direct correlation between those of you who participate in all the live programs and attend all the live webinars and those of you that do the best with the program. It's that simple. Lisa Nash has a very good question here. Lisa is asking, when calling Commission Inc. leads who have looked at a property a number of times, what is the best conversation to have with them? For example, do you say, Mr. and Mrs. Prospect, I've seen that you've looked at 123 Main Street 6 times, or is that too creepy as they feel that somehow you're evading their privacy? Okay, look, Lisa, the secret here is when you first generate the lead with Commissions Inc., you want to call them up and you want to use the universal callback script and you want to compel them to meet with you and sign them to a buyer agency agreement. Okay, that's got to be the goal. If we continue to send them information from Commissions Inc., what we're teaching the buyer is that this is okay and that we're going to continue to send them all the new listings. And what's even worse is if you start to go show them properties, because now you've taught them really that your time is worth nothing, and it's hard to reel that back once that happens. So in this specific situation where you haven't met with them, and obviously they keep coming back and look at the same property over and over again, this is the script that we're going to use. I'd say, hi Lisa, it's Craig Proctor with ABC Realty. I noticed that you've been looking at the property at 123 Main Street several times, and I wondered if you might be interested in that property. And at the same time, I could get you information on other properties in the area, other similar properties in the area that might match your criteria. Would that be something that would interest you? Now, James, you need to be Lisa, okay?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'm just looking on the site, so I don't mind doing that.
Okay. Well, why don't we do this? If we're going to take you out and show you any one of these properties, why don't we show you all the properties in the area that match your criteria at the same time?
I don't know if I'm ready to go out and look at anything yet.
Okay. Now, we should be asking all the qualifying questions, right? Do you have a realtor? Do you own a house, or are you renting? Do you want to buy first, or do you want to sell first? I mean, this is what we must do. We must qualify all these prospects. So what's your timing then, James, if you say you're not quite ready yet? If you were to make a move, when do you think that might be?
After the school year.
Okay. And do you have a realtor to help you when the time is right?
No.
And do you own a home, or are you currently renting?
No, we're renting.
Okay. So nothing to sell. See how smart I am? If you're renting, you have nothing to sell?
Correct.
Well, James, what I could do is I could give you a priority list of all the new properties that specifically match your criteria, because I notice you're coming back to the site over and over again. And my list would include just the homes that perfectly match your criteria, including any distress sales, bank foreclosures, homes that have expired off the market, or homes that aren't even on MLS yet. It's a free service. You're never obligated to buy a home. Is that something you might be interested in?
Yeah. That's those are properties different from the ones that I'm seeing on the site.
Well, you're seeing homes that you're interested in, but you're also seeing homes that you're not interested in, correct?
Well, yeah.
Okay. So rather than you continually having to come back to the site and looking through a whole bunch of homes that don't interest you, or what would be even worse, potentially missing out on the perfect one, what I'd like to do is make you a priority receiver of our hottest listings, and that way they'll be sent to you every day. You won't have to go to our site and look at them. You can if you wish, but you're going to get a priority list of any new properties that come on the market immediately, so you can beat out other new buyers to these hot new listings. But this list will include homes that are a perfect match for you, including any bank foreclosures, company-owned properties, your distress sales. So you think you might be interested in receiving that type of proprietary information, James?
Yeah, definitely.
When would be a good time for us to get together then, so I can take down exactly what you're looking for?
Probably in a couple of weeks or maybe a couple of months.
Well, why don't we do this?
You walked into that one. You walked into that one, didn't you?
Well, not really, because James, even though you might not be ready to take action for a couple weeks or a couple months, it'd be great if you were really educated on the market by the time that you're ready to make your move. So there is no downside to getting proprietary information every day between now and when you're actually ready to pull the trigger on this. You know, there's really no argument to wait to become educated on the market. If it was me, I would want to start to receive the information on all the homes and, you know, get as much knowledge on what's happening in the marketplace. So when you're ready to make your purchase, whether it be two weeks or 2 months down the road, you're going to feel well prepared. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I see.
So why don't we do this? I've got some time tomorrow, either in the afternoon or the evening. Would that work for you and your wife? It would only take about 15 minutes. Fine. Okay, so we set an appointment. But you see,
here's something
if you're just sending them the information, then they're going to call you when they see houses, and you're going to run out and show a house that you already know they're not going to buy.
Yeah. You know, the bottom line is this. Anybody who's looking, it doesn't matter how they're doing it, whether they're going on your Commissions Inc. site or looking on the internet, you've got a better way for them to look than what they're currently doing. And that's the bottom line. So anyone says, well, I'm not ready now, if you stop and think about it, but wait, you've spent hours on the site. You're clearly spending your time in an effort to find what you're looking for, and you're missing out on some of the most perfect properties. And what you're looking at online are the properties that are on the market. What I'm proposing to send you are the properties as they come on the market. So tomorrow, you're going to receive properties that today are not available for sale. The idea is to know about the properties before the other buyers do. Priority access to these properties. The best part, it's free. There's no obligation whatsoever to buy anything, and they'll come directly to your email inbox, so you don't have to spend a lot of time searching. Would that be something of interest to you? Like, the prospect can't deny that they're spending time looking. So by you proposing a better way for them to look that's not only less time consuming but also more efficient, better, it makes it easy for them to say yes. And then once they say yes, and where I was teasing Craig with this is in the script, when you're booking the appointment, you want to suggest what would be better for you, days or evenings, because the prospect's likely to choose days or evenings. Then you get to say what's better this evening or tomorrow. But if you leave it open-ended, once in a while you'll get a smartass like me and say, you know, when would be a good time for you? And they say 2 weeks. Now you've got to walk it back and try to find a closer time. All of that would have been unnecessary by following the script and suggesting, you know, days or evenings. Let the prospect pick. That you can sort of guide them over the next 48 hours to an appointment.
Next question is from Ellen Levy. Ellen's asking, we have put together a list of 100 plus homes in the Baltimore area which have up to $124,000 in tax credits for owner occupants. But we do not want to make this list available to prospective buyers without a written commitment. How do you suggest that we leverage this client list to attract the buyers? Well, Ellen, you can't really offer the list, you know, broadly to all the buyers in your marketplace if you're not going to give it to them unless they sign up. But Ellen, wouldn't this be a great thing to offer to prospects that you speak to on the phone that have responded to other ads? So, for example, let's say you run an ad that offers a list of Baltimore fixer-uppers or a list of Baltimore first-time buyer homes between this price range and that price range. And then when you're following up with the prospects, so James, you're my prospect, that's when I could say to James, and James, also we have a list of over 100 homes in the Baltimore area which have up to $124,000 in tax credits for owner occupants. Is that something that you might be interested in as well?
Yeah, definitely.
Well, why don't we get together so I can take down exactly what you're looking for, Okay, and that way I can send you all the homes in the Baltimore area that match your criteria, including bank foreclosures, company-owned properties, distress sales, and properties that offer these huge tax credits. When would be a good time for it to meet with us, James? Today or maybe 2 weeks from now? I'm playing with you.
Yes, I would want that right away.
Okay. All right, so let's keep going here. Adele Langdon. Adele said, I'd like to ask a question about anyone willing to share their virtual assistant or assistant that knows Wise Agent that I can hire to put in my goal plan follow-up system. Okay, so Adele is looking for an assistant or virtual assistant that can help her implement the goal plan follow-up system, the activity plan in Wise Agent. Okay, if anybody knows an assistant that can help Adele, just type it into chat and we'll pass that information on. Sandy Casella. Well, I was with Sandy all weekend, and Sandy's got a couple questions here. When I get those leads, not sure what she means by those leads, I send them back an email. I think she's talking about Kijiji. When I get those Kijiji leads, maybe, I send them back an email. Yes, I have that info, and what's the best number for me to reach you at so I can give you the information? And Sandy says about 50% will respond. They'll give the phone number to Sandy. Next question is from Jordan Tanner. Jordan says, how do I repeat the offer on the phone to prospects who I've just booked an appointment to prevent them canceling? My last 6 out of 7 buyer appointments were no-shows. I've heard Lester books the appointment to look at homes. I've heard the offer can be repeated. I've also heard Rudy say he's going to be preparing a list for them for the meeting and ask, is there any reason you can think of why you wouldn't be able to make the appointment on Tuesday at 7 p.m.? Okay, so let's do a role play here, James. I say to James, blah, 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 use the script, and I say, when would be a good time for us to meet, James? Days or evenings?
Evenings.
All right, well, what does tomorrow evening look like, James? What would be better for you, 7 or 8?
Probably 7.
Okay, so James, I'm going to see you at your house at such and such address tomorrow at 7 o'clock. And when we get together, what I'm going to do is we're going to have a detailed discussion about exactly what you're looking for. And I understand that both you and your wife are going to be home. And it'll only take about 20 minutes, but we're going to talk about exactly what you're looking for. That way I can send you just the homes that are a perfect match. And my list will include bank foreclosures, company-owned properties, distress sales. And the real benefit of this is not only are you getting proprietary information on the best deals in Carlsbad, California, but also you're going to get priority access because as you're aware, James, the market is really, really hot right now in California, and the best deals go very quickly. So I look forward to meeting you and your wife. Again, I'm going to see you at such and such address tomorrow at such and such a time. And if anything comes up, I'd appreciate you either shoot me an email or give me a call. My direct number is blah, blah, blah. How does that sound, James?
It sounds good. You know what I might say is that probably these no-show appointments are appointments that are booked to come to the office as opposed to you showing up at their home and them not being home. Very likely you're booking them at your office. So a couple things. You definitely want to make sure the appointment is as close to now as possible. So obviously you'll find there's a correlation between the further away the appointment is and the likeliness of the appointment not happening. If you book an appointment for a week from now, it's less likely to happen than if you book an appointment for this evening, right? If we're talking on the phone right now and I book an appointment for this evening, it's probably going to happen. If I'm on the phone right now and I book an appointment for a week from now, it's less likely to happen. So that's something that you want to make sure you do a good job of controlling. But did you notice how Craig reiterated the benefit to the prospect and reiterated the reduction of threat? In other words, no cost, you're not obligated to buy anything, There's nothing to be afraid of. This is all upside, all benefit. All you need to do is consider all of the elements in a home that are important to you and your family, and that way we can get you in and out and do a great job for you.
You know, unless they forget about the appointment, which sometimes happens, it's really up to us to, that's why we want the appointment, by the way, booked like tomorrow, not 2 weeks from now, because they will forget. But we have to make sure they understand the benefit of meeting with us. A big reason why they cancel is they just don't understand the benefit of meeting with you. And they don't understand it's free and no obligation. So, yes, you have to reiterate the offer. You have to repeat the benefit. And as James said, repeat the fact that it doesn't cost anything and they're not obligated. There's no downside. There's only huge upside. And do they understand the benefit, the upside of meeting with you? The next comment is from Sarah Roy. It is a comment. It's a testimonial of sorts. Sarah says, so Craig, I received a lead this weekend while I was at the Platinum Boot Camp in Toronto. So I called the lead back right away and I booked an appointment for this morning. I signed them up to a year-long buyer agency agreement. And they have a house to sell, which I'm going to see on Friday. While we're in the appointment, my new client received a call from another realtor who was also following up about an inquiry they had made on Friday. But I made the call and booked the appointment just in time, as this one almost slipped through the cracks. Just follow what Craig and James say, and that's it. People, keep it simple and just do it. Well, thank you very much, Sarah. And that's what we like to hear. All right, let's go back to Andrea. We'll take another audio question.
Yes, we have John McGowan. Your line is open.
Yes, hi there. I had typed in my question as well, but I wanted to know, after what we did yesterday, I went back and I started looking at a bunch of my reports on Success website to see what kind of activity I've had on my landing pages and then what conversion I've had. What do you guys deem to be a good conversion? I was only getting for distressed ads, about 6%.
Okay. Look, that's a very good question, but here's a better question. What is your return on investment from every dollar you're spending on each one of your campaigns?
I know, but I agree with that.
Let me give you an extreme example. Let's say that I spend $50 on an ad and I only generate one lead, and it turns into a $20,000 commission check. And every time I run this ad, I only generate one lead, but that one lead turns into a commission check. So I would look at that first. I think it varies so much on the campaign. Like how many leads you generate and the conversion it varies quite a bit on the campaign. James, anything you want to add to this?
Yeah, it's definitely true. Now I would say that it's not that this stuff isn't trackable, but what you really want to be tracking is one approach versus another. In other words, if you're generating leads from a campaign, then that becomes the base mark at the bar. Then you compare a different approach, and the question is very simple: does it work better or not? And that way, you're always progressing with your lead generation. But ultimately, what Craig's saying is true, is that the purpose of the ad is to do one thing. It's to drive a compelled prospect to a landing page or to call into a hotline. That's all an ad is capable of doing. But if the ad does that, but then the website doesn't do its job, and we go scrapping the ad, well, we're fixing what isn't broken. We've got to look at the web page. Now we've got to test different approaches with the web page to figure out, we're driving this traffic to the web page. How do we get more of them to request the information, right? And all of this is all being tracked. Then you can compare a different approach versus that one to arrive at what works the best. That's one test. The next test is return on investment. And there's just no arguing it. You can have a campaign that generates a tiny fraction of the number of leads that another campaign would, but yet the return on investment is far greater. For example, If you are running an ad that offers upscale luxury homes starting at $1.5 million, and you only generate 1 lead a week from that ad, but you find that every 3 leads you convert into a buyer client who both has a home to sell and is looking to buy a home for at least $1.5 million. One transaction with a client like that is going to get you a huge return on investment, maybe more so than 20 buyers that responded to a first-time buyer distress sale ad that have no home to sell and are looking for properties in the $200,000 price point and are new buyers and might be months and months down the road before they're able to do anything. So we've got to look at all of this stuff. When we're looking at our marketing, the better you know your numbers and the better you're able to track, the better you understand what's working and what needs to be improved upon.
I agree with all of that stuff completely. The one thing I guess really what I was asking is, when do I start tweaking? I'm realizing that my landing page is a little bit of a limiting factor here, and I want to know when do I start tweaking that. And
immediately. You should always be tweaking it, because here's the honest truth, is that you can always go back to the page you're using right now. So what you're telling me is right now the page you're using gets you about 6%, which, by the way, I'll say is pretty good. But watch this. If you change the page and make some adjustments to the page and 6% goes to 4%, what would you do?
Go back.
You'd just go back. But if you changed it and it went to 10%, now we're talking, right? So, and this is what you're going to find is that that's pretty standard test. That's how it works. Once you arrive at the formula, you can leave it alone and then you can go on to something else.
Thank you.
All right, good job.
Okay, Craig, would you like to continue with the audio questions or move back to chat?
Let's continue with audio.
Okay, we have Patricia Maldonado. Your line is open. Go ahead and hit the red unmute button on your end. Okay, we'll move on to Satish Patel. Your line is now open. Satish? Okay.
We said chat questions.
Oh. Okay, Craig, do you want to move over back to chat?
Well, if there's no more audio, yes.
Okay, let's do that then.
Okay. Next question is from Kenneth Lee. I get leads really late or too early due to having ads online. At the boot camp, they said, that they means James and Lester, it's best to call within 5 minutes of getting the lead. Yeah, it's best to call, but sometimes you can't. But I don't know if I should call them after 9 p.m. Well, we know they're up, right? If they responded at 9:30, they're on your website right now. Anyway, I don't know if I should call them after 9 p.m. and those calls while I'm asleep. Well, look, we're not suggesting that you have to wake up in the middle of the night to return your calls, and we're also not suggesting that your dinner should be interrupted or time with your family, or when you go to the movie theater that you need to run to the movie theater to return your calls. That's the luxury of this system, is we can shut the cell phone off for a little bit. And I don't think that that's what Lester and James were alluding to. What they were saying was that if you're hanging around the office and a lead comes in and you're not with a client, by all means you should call them back. It would be better. But James, I don't think you were suggesting that our members should alter their life and be awake 24/7 sitting by their cell phone.
No, listen, here's a good way of looking at it. Okay, this is the simple answer to this. The sooner you call the prospect back, the more likely you are to not only reach them, but successfully determine their timing and motivation. Now, I said the
well, how about this too, James? James, how about this? Do you remember the chat question I read from Sarah Roy just a minute ago? Sarah was at the Platinum Boot Camp, and a lead came in. Now, Sarah, she could have, said, "Well, I'm at this meeting here. I'll wait. I'll wait until Monday." But she didn't do that. During one of the breaks, she called the lead back. And it was a darn good thing she called the lead back and booked the appointment because, as she's saying, while she was signing the client up to a contract, another realtor was following up from another inquiry the prospect had made on Friday. So that's another reason why we sort of want to do this in a timely fashion. But there's got to be some common sense here. This is also why we want to generate more leads than we actually need. So were there cases where I didn't call somebody back right away because maybe I'm coaching my son's hockey team and I'm on the bench? That's a good example. Okay, I'm coaching my son's hockey team. It's a Saturday afternoon, which is very busy for real estate, and every once in a while, yeah, there would be an inquiry, and I didn't get back to them on time, and that buyer dealt with another real estate agent. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I have lots of other prospects because I don't want to live my life that way. What am I going to do? Say to the assistant coach, can you man the doors here? I'm going to step into the lobby here and go make a phone call. So look, you can't trade your entire lifestyle for your income. That's why you generate more leads than you could possibly handle. Now, if I'm sitting at the office when a call comes in like that, of course I'm going to call them back. But you don't have to alter your life. Will you lose one now and again? Yeah. But that's why you want to generate so many buyers and sellers. You can't work with them all anyway. Is that what you were going to say, James?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's probably more elaboration on it. But yes, essentially that's exactly right. The idea is this. As soon as you were available to call the prospect back, you didn't procrastinate, you didn't leave it for days on end. When you were available, you followed up with the lead. And in doing so, the quicker you were able to follow up with them without altering your lifestyle to your detriment, the better you'll do. That's all. So if you can't call a prospect back within 5 minutes because it would, alter your lifestyle detrimentally, then don't. Wait 6 minutes or however long.
Right.
This is
not. So I'm at a movie theater. I'm going to call them back when the movie's over and I'm in my car and I'm on my way home.
Right. And what we're saying is this. Doing that, as soon as you're available to call them back, you do. Doing that would be better than saying, you know what, I'm going to wait until Monday afternoon to call them back. That you would find the quicker you call them back, the better response you'll get. So that means what it means. When you're available, as soon as you're available, call them back. You'll find that it'll work. It'll be better. So, that was what Lester was suggesting, to stop you from procrastinating and saying, I make my follow-up calls Tuesday and Thursday night. So if I get a lead on Friday, I'm going to wait till Tuesday night before I call the lead on Friday. And if you do that, you're going to be disappointed to find that not only is it difficult to reach the prospect.
It's funny we're even talking. You know what, James? It's funny we're even talking about this because the truth is with most of our members, we've got the opposite problem. You're not up all night eager to call them back. You're not calling them back at all, or you're calling them back way too late. Next question is from Joe. Joe says, when I get a lead from my postcards, or I got a lead from one of my postcards, and I spoke with them using the script, and they said they just wanted to find out the value of their property so they could do a refinance, and they have absolutely no intention of moving. Should I put them on Market Watch and follow up with them, or just leave them alone? Well, if you believe them, they're not moving, I'd just leave them alone. I wouldn't pursue it. If you sense
you might want to refer them to your lender as well. Here's a good question to ask. If you found your home was worth more than you thought and you had more equity than you thought you did, would you consider a move at that point, perhaps? It's a good question.
Yep.
Right. It's a good question.
Same thing you would say. You'd flip that around for buyers too. If the buyer's like, well, I don't know if I'm ready to make. Well, if the perfect home came on the market, are you in a position to act? Well, if they say no, even if it's the most perfect home, then I'm probably going to believe that prospect. Okay, let's keep going on the chats here. Any more audio questions, by the way?
No, at this time we have no hands raised.
Okay, Mark Good is asking, is there some way to turn a massive amount of testimonials into a USP? Actually, having a lot of testimonials is really, really good, Mark. You can never have too many of them. So 10 is better than 5, 20 is better than 10, and so on. But really what you want to do is have testimonials that support your USP. So there's 3 types of different unique selling propositions, 3 USP platforms. One of them that we talk mostly about are performance guarantees. So if I offer a guaranteed sale program, I should have a lot of testimonials that talk about how great my guaranteed sale program is and how prospects benefited from that. So the testimonials support the program. You've got a skeptical consumer that thinks, well, there's no way this James McDonald's actually going to buy my home if it doesn't sell. And then James pulls out a couple dozen testimonials from prospects that have benefited from the guaranteed sale. Or James, I'm trying to list your home, and part of my listing presentation, I'm offering my unique service USPs, right, and I talk about my Sunday. Well, how about my Sunday tour of homes?
Right, or your buyers in waiting program.
My
and you
buyers
have a
in waiting.
That said, Craig had a buyer for our home, and our home was sold in 4 days.
Yep.
Craig was already working with a buyer for our home, and it sold in 4 days for our asking price.
Michelle London is asking, could you please post an example of a Craigslist ad that really, really works? Thanks in advance. All right, Andrea, do not post anything that does not work. Do you have an example of one that does work? By the way, Michelle, this is probably something better for Lester to do. Lester can give you a bunch of examples.
Yeah, I know there's a few things in the Platinum Library, but I have to really search. I really don't have anything from any ad clinics.
Well, it's not gonna be the best example for Michelle, because Michelle wants an ad that's gonna work for her.
Remember, on Craigslist, you really are promoting a property for sale, right? I mean, that's what Craigslist is you're promoting a property for sale. So, all you can do is try not to disqualify all the buyers from that property. So in other words, if you have a property, you want to make it as nondescript as possible so it doesn't disqualify the majority of the buyers that look at it. But if you try to run an ad that says, distress sales, free list, great deals, immediately it will be removed from Craigslist. You'll be flagged, ghosted, you'll be removed. Craigslist will only allow you to post properties. So, you're looking for a great ad on Craigslist, it doesn't really go hand in hand. The problem with Craigslist is you've got to use your time to post and repost properties that essentially have very narrow appeal. So I'm not saying you can't get anything from it. I'm saying it isn't the best, most efficient way to lead generate. The upside is it's 100% free.
So give us an example. I want Michelle and everyone to get it. Give us an example of what you can do and what you can't do.
New market, 4-bedroom, incredible deal, sellers must sell. Okay, that's your headline. So it sounds like I'm talking about a specific property, but I haven't been too specific. I haven't given a price, or anything like that. So they click on that ad. Now, you're going to have a property there. If you don't, your ad will be ghosted. You'll be gone. So you've got to promote a property. Now, what you want to do is you want to have a hotline number in there. All right, so try to make the call to action. For information on this property and other great 4-bedroom deals, 24/7 recorded information, free. Anywhere you say free list, you're dead. Okay, it'll probably be ghosted and flagged, and your account will be shut down. So. But having the 1-800 number, making sure they know this is 24-hour recorded info. You can't have a live link in a Craigslist ad. Won't let you. Right? Remember this. Craigslist is designed for the individual person selling something. So when someone's selling their skateboard, they don't have a domain name. They don't have a hotline. They have a phone number. That's the spirit of Craigslist. It's for the individual person that wants to sell whatever it is that they have to sell. In the case of real estate, if it's a for sale by owner, they probably have a phone number. So to stop spammers, to stop corporate America from taking over Craigslist, they've really cracked down, and now having a URL in your ad, you can't do that anymore. And it's because if companies are using Craigslist, the individual user says, what would be the point of me running an ad there? There's no point. I run an ad, 10 minutes later my ad has disappeared from the first page, and now I have a full-time job posting ads on Craigslist. So Craigslist tried to put a stop to that, and this is how they've done it. So here's the bottom line. Advertise a property, but don't be too disqualifying in the property details. And number two, use a 1-800 number as the call to action. Can you generate leads from it? Absolutely. But it's going to require you posting the ads frequently, throughout the day.
What you have here on your screen now is just the bare bones template that Coach Todd Walters has been using for some of our members who may need free or low cost type advertising like Craigslist or Kijiji. So I have this up on the screen now, and as you can see, it's exactly what James discussed, just very bare bones and straight to the point.
Yep.
All right. We've got someone asking about last Wednesday's webinar, and they don't feel it's been posted. Do you know anything about that, Andrea? Did you notice that?
I do. Unfortunately, last week I lost a hard drive to my editing software and computer. So I have been working very hard with Adrian on getting a new editing system set up, and I've been slowly but surely catching back up with those webinars. So if you notice something missing, give me a little bit of time to get caught back up, but it should be done within the next couple of days.
Okay. Also notice there, Andrea, that Bertrand has an assistant that might be able to help Adele. If you could pass that information on to Adele, please.
I'll do that right now.
Okay. And trying to find here, we've got a lot of questions here today. Oh, Michelle says, thank you, Craig and James. Michelle, this is our year. You and I, we're going to make this work. So I want you to keep on these things, and you hold my feet to the fire. Because I want Michelle to come up and give me a big hug and say, I've got this working. That's what I'm waiting for. That's my goal this year. Okay. I have someone asking, I got to find it here, but I'll just ask the question. It doesn't matter who asked it. On the listing presentation, the listing presentation we initially give you when you join the program, we don't have the 6 performance guarantees, and they want to know why. Well, that's an add-on, just like we baby step you with the buyer presentation. So the initial VIP buyer presentation we give you doesn't talk about a upfront transaction fee, and it doesn't talk about you negotiating your commission with the buyer. It basically just says, we're going to do this and this and this for you, James, and all of our services are free, and all we ask for in return is your loyalty. Does that sound fair? So that's what we start off. We always give you folks the easiest presentation to begin with, and then we plus the presentation. We make it better and better and better and better. So when it comes to the listing presentation, one of the add-ons is the 6 satisfaction guarantees. Andrea, are you able to pull a copy of those up?
I think I should be able to. Give me just one moment.
Okay. I'm just trying to find out who was the one that it was asking about that. James, why don't you talk while I'm looking for this?
All right.
But you could talk about anything. Okay, don't worry. I found it. It's Lisa Nash. You had your chance to talk. You blew it, James. Lisa says, my second question is, Craig has performance guarantees. We've added these to our listing agreement, but I noticed they're not on the original listing agreement, or not on the ultimate listing agreement, I think, presentation. Is there a reason why the 6 performance guarantees are not in it? Well, I think we've explained that. So yes, if we go to the screen now, does Andrea have that up? Can you find those, Andrea?
I have them. I'm just having to search my computer and pause my screen. So just give me a little bit more time and I'll have them pulled up.
No pressure. You've got about 8 seconds. Okay. So we'll come back to that in a second, Lisa, but that's the answer. Yes, you absolutely can add that and should add that as you become more confident. The idea with the 6 performance guarantees, 6 satisfaction guarantees, is these should really be things that you do anyway, right? Like one of the 6 satisfaction guarantees, James, is that if you list your home with me, I promise that I'll call you every week and update you on what's going on with your property. Or if you call me, I'll return your call within 24 hours. Now, I would think that every realtor with us here today would say, yeah, well, of course I would do that when I list a home. Well, then why not guarantee it in writing? Because it goes on to say, if I fail to call you every single week or return an inquiry that you make of me within 24 hours, I will deduct X amount from my commission on closing. So the idea here is you're just guaranteeing something you're going to do anyway, but because you're putting it in writing and you're saying there's going to be a penalty, a consequence, if I don't do this, then even though the other realtors they're interviewing may be saying the same thing, you are believed because you're being accountable and they're not. So your competitors, who they've also interviewed, may scream up and down, jump up and down, saying, but I would do that too, but they didn't say it, or at least they didn't make that offer in writing with a penalty if it doesn't happen. So Andrea's still working on that.
I am, unfortunately. Thank you. I'll just need a little bit more time.
Take your time. Okay, James, tell us about this week.
Well, before you joined us, I was talking about the importance of uploading your ads for the Ad Clinic session on Friday. But, of course, also on Thursday, we have our role play session, which is everybody's favorite because you know that all this talk of lead generation is really wasted if we're not doing a really good job using the universal script to determine timing, motivation, and booking appointments. But if you are a master, and by the way, at our boot camp on Friday, Craig, we had some really good role play examples. I mean, we had some couple of our students that were really, really good, which is great because it just demonstrates to everybody, look how good you can be at this, and you can just see how being that competent, it parlays into every element.
Okay, so I want to share. I was very blunt with the Platinum members yesterday. Okay, and I want to share with everyone exactly what I said to our Platinum members. I said this, that some of our members say to themselves, well, I really don't like making the phone calls. That's, not what I want to do. So I'm just going to abdicate responsibility to somebody else. In other words, I'm not going to do this properly. You could not teach someone else how to be really good with the universal callback script unless you're really good with the universal callback script. Once you're really, really good with it, well, then sure, you could hire and train somebody to be as good as you, but they're only ever going to be as good as you. Also, when you hire people, you should make sure that your inside salespeople are on the Thursday calls with James and I. James and I will train them. But too many times, our members abdicate responsibility and just say, well, I don't want to do it. I'm not really interested in becoming a master at it. I'll just hire somebody else, and I'm sure they'll figure it out. Look, that's the kiss of death. It's not going to happen. James and I and the coaches see that strategy fail over and over and over again. 100% it'll fail. Here's the other thing that I said, is our most successful members, the ones that make the most amount of money, also do not give away all the leads. They cherry pick the best leads. So in my office, my entire career, right to the very end, I cherry-picked the best leads. My assistant, Cindy, was instructed to give Craig all the A leads. What's an A lead? I said, Cindy, I want any seller leads. Any seller leads that, especially those that check off yes to listing their home within 6 months or less, they go onto my day timer. You can give the buyer leads or the B leads or people that say they're going to take action in longer than 6 months. You can give those leads to Carol. Okay, I had, during my peak, I think I had 3 or 4 inside sales agents, but I always made the calls. Now, why did I make the calls to the best leads? Because I could make more money doing that than any other aspect of my business. And I'll debate that with any of you. Here's a quick example. As you know, James, I created a perfect week where I worked on the callbacks for only 6 hours. So I thought, well, that's a pretty good trade. I'll work for 6 hours in my business, and I'll sell between 400 and 500 homes every year, which I did. So when would be the best 6 hours to work? Monday nights for me, Tuesday nights and Saturday mornings in 2-hour chunks. Why 2-hour chunks? Because, you know what, I can't make these calls for more than 2 hours. My head is getting lower and lower and lower, and I'm tired. And when you become tired, what happens is you just want to get through the list, and you're not being very effective. So I know myself. I can't do this for more than 2 hours. So 7 to 9 on Mondays, I'm making my calls, and I'm calling back the A leads. Same thing on Thursday, 7 to 9. Saturday morning, 11 to 1. 2-hour chunks. In a 2-hour time period, on average, I can book 8 listing appointments. Remember, I'm calling the seller leads. I can book 8 listing appointments. Now, let's say that I was tempted to do what most of you do and abdicate responsibility for the callbacks to someone else. First of all, they're probably not going to convert the leads like I'm going to convert them. Plus, even if I was out there trying to list the homes in that same time period, so I'm going out on the listings instead of setting up the calls, how many homes could I list in 2 hours? Maybe 2. Most likely 1, but maybe 2 if I'm really efficient. Maybe I could list 2 homes between 7 and 9 on a Monday. And I would get 100% of the commission on those 2. But guess what? It's better to be on the phone, me setting up 8 appointments. Because even if I'm getting 50% on 8, that's way better than getting 100% on 2. And I never have to leave the house. It gets cold here in the winter, especially this time of year. I can be sitting at my desk with a t-shirt on, no tie, calling back my leads, setting up on average 8 in 2 hours, sending out my outside sales agents. We're on a 50-50 split. Do the math. Even if the average commission is only 10 grand, if we get 8 of them, that's $80,000. That's a lot of money. So I recommend, as always, that you just do what I did and what our top members are doing. All right, Andrea, how was that for killing some time for you?
That was perfect. I didn't find what I wanted, but I believe here's Todd's version.
Yep, it's the same.
There you go.
So everybody has this. Okay, it's on the site. 6 VIP seller satisfaction guarantees. Number 1, the communication guarantee is exactly what I just detailed. Right? If we don't call you every week or call you back within 24 hours, what's going to happen? Well, Todd says we're going to pay you $100 cash for any time we fail to live up to that promise. Then we've got the honest promises guarantee. So here's how that works. James, I come over to your home, and I have a list of, I don't know, let's say 21 things that I'm going to do for you if you list your home with me. Now, I'm sure all of you would keep your promises to your sellers. So whatever you promise your sellers, you're actually going to do it. Perfect. Then you can offer this guarantee. Now, my promises sounded really good, but the truth is any agent would offer what I would offer James. So James, here's an example. Hey, James, should you decide to list your home with me, I'm going to send information on your home out to 40,000 real estate agents in the Greater Toronto area. Sounds really good, right? But James, what am I really just saying here?
MLS.
Put it on MLS. A professional marketing for sale sign will be installed in your home within 72 hours. What am I saying? You're going to get a for sale sign. Your home will be uploaded onto 12 websites within 48 hours. Well, that's easy, right? Because it's going to be on Remax.com. It's going to be on the Era Banner has their own website. I've got my own website. There's 12 of them, right? So that's easy. It automatically happens once we load it onto MLS. All these things are going to happen. Reality-based selling price. Okay, so here's what I'm saying, James. I'm not going to be one of these realtors that comes in and lies to you to get the listing. Whatever price I give you, I'm going to sell your home within $5,000 of that price. In fact, for every $5,000 we sell your home for below the price that I promise you, I'm going to deduct $200 from my commission. Anyway, you can find all of this on the coaching site. And how do they find it, Andrea?
I just went to the, and let me unpause my screen, to the file library, and I just typed in satisfaction, and all of the options came up.
There we have it. All right, well, look, we're out of time for today. We had really good participation today, lots of great questions. I think we got to most of them. But make sure you check the coaching site for all the Craig Proctor calls. Some of you are going to have coaching calls with me this week. So, Andrea, just show everybody how they do that. Some of you are going to have coaching calls with me either on Tuesday or Wednesday. All of you are invited Thursday morning to the role play session with James McDonald and I, and all of you are invited to the ad clinic or marketing clinic session Friday morning, and you all have the ability to role play and submit your ads. So that's what you look at when you look at the upcoming sessions. Now, for each of you, it'll be different because some of you are in different coaching groups. But just be aware of what we have. And let me remind you one more time. There's a very direct correlation between those of you that make the most amount of money or the most successful with the Craig Proctor program and those of you that attend all the live meetings and attend the webinars and training sessions. So that's it for today. I want to thank Mr. McDonald. Did a great job here, James.
Thank you.
And Andrea. Thank you, Andrea, for doing a great job. And we'll see everybody this week on our upcoming webinars. Take care, and that concludes today's helpline session.